And
Can you post the link somewhere?
I just did.
Discord.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I posted a clickable link, so you know.
Yes. Okay. Now I will share my screen.
Is our username and password the same as last time?
No. Okay. Everyone just take a quick look at my screen so I can show you everything that you need to do. So, is anyone actually watching my stream yet? Alright, can you guys see this thing called DOM Judge over here, or is it very blurry?
No, it's good. It's good.
Good. It's good.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the right and log in, and then not do that. We're gonna everyone has to register. So you put your username. Let's say I put like.
Do you have to use your real name?
Huh?
Do you have to use your real name?
No. Let's say I put trust, and then I have some email at gmail.com. Please put your team name as the exact same thing as your username. So in my case, it'd be trust. And assuming that you're all in the right voice channel, and this is a senior channel, you're gonna click senior, and then keep it as no affiliation, and then password as whatever you want, and then repeat that password.
Wait, quick question.
Yes.
I was thinking that I might switch depending on my experience for like the first few days. So like.
Yeah, you can. We'll handle that if you necessary.
Okay.
So yeah.
Please keep the names appropriate though.
Yeah. Keep
Sorry,
names
what do you put
appropriate.
in team name?
Team name has to be the exact same thing as your username.
Okay.
Oh, we have to keep it appropriate.
Yes, Kevin. Do you not realize?
There are consequences,
Kevin,
even including it may not
Yeah.
be limited to being kicked out of the phone.
And possibly being banned from the server,
Yes.
and possibly facing consequences with school administration.
Things that you do not want to get into. So, anyone speak up if they have any problems? All right.
Wait, no affiliation?
No affiliation. That is correct. And then put your password as whatever you want, and then repeat the password. So I will take a screenshot of this and post this in the server, just so you guys have a sort of a template to look at. Okay, and that should be good. So anyone having any problems at the moment? Alright, if not, okay, so what's going to happen is when we have contests or designated problems that we're going to do, they will be on this thing, they'll be on this website. It's the DOM Judge, and the link will always be party.vmcs.club, and then next time you do it, you're going to log in. So, for example, let's say I'm done registering. I'm going to log in. Let's just have the username. And then I would sign in, and then I'll show you interface later because it's different from my interface and your interface because I'm an admin. So that's how this works. So now I'm going to switch my screen to just Chrome. Alright, so anyone have any problems at the moment? Okay, if not, then we are good. Now with DMOS. So DMOS is it's very similar names, DOM Judge DMOS. That's not a coincidence. I'm being honest. So DMOS is a much bigger version of DOM Judge in which the problems, it's a much bigger thing, but the thing is we can't customize according to how we want it to, like to have our own specific problems unless we host public contests. But
Or you pay us, $150, guys, support.
Yes, it's very absurdly expensive, so we have decided to use our own DOM Judge. And then, so what I recommend is, obviously when you hold contests or we have problems, you specifically do those problems as many as you can first, and then you go into DMOS, and then you guys should create an account. So if I signed up for an account, that's not my username, that was a different account. So you're just going to fill this out, and then when you go to affiliate organizations, you're going to scroll down till you find Vincent Massey SS.
Or you can just type it in and it will autofill for you.
Yes, yeah, just type in Vincent Massey SS. If you can't type, then just scroll down, and then just fill out the reCAPTCHA and then register. And so then what's going to happen is you'll be automatically into our team. And I log in with Google primarily, but it's your choice of what you want to log into. I'm just going to log in real quick and give you a quick tutorial of the interface. Alright, so I have my accounts, my settings, whatever. These are the problems I solved in ascending order, and if you want to view all your submissions, you just click on View Submissions. It's a very intuitive interface. So to see the people in Massey, or to see how you rank up, you click, you go to your profile and you click Vincent Massey SS. Is it very tiny for you guys? Like, is it blurry? Should I zoom in?
No, that's
It's
fine.
No, it's good. It's good.
And then view members. And so these are all the members of Vincent Massey SS. It's historically used for like past 5 years, I think. So there are going to be tons and tons of people in here. And I just want to emphasize that there's nothing wrong with finding out that this club is not for you. And that, for example, even if you've had register on DMOS, like, I'm not trying to say anything about these people, but they figured out, a lot of these people tried doing a few problems and figured out that this wasn't something for them. So it's completely okay to quit. So yeah, and then you can find problems according to specific contests, like what we are really focused on is the CCC. So maybe you want to go into some CCC problems. That's how you use that. And then you have a bunch of problems. So you could literally be here for thousands of hours just finding new problems. And then when contests run, they'll be in the contest section. And then, like, for example, there's a random theoretical experiment 3. I don't think that's a contest specifically that you guys should attempt, really, because it's not necessarily the best problems. Like, these are just literally random problems that people just found that were cool. And then if you have any questions with DMOS itself, like with the interface, you can go to About and then look at stuff and see the fact and everything, or frequently answer questions. So yeah, that's the basic interface. DMOS is like very simple, and it's really good. And then you can see how everyone's submitting stuff. So it's very, very widespread. There are thousands of users that use DMOS. So I recommend creating an account and using that. And really, as I mentioned before, you should do like the maximum amount of problems on DOM Judge, and then do problems on DMOS like at a good rate. Like I'm going to call one person out, but I won't say his name. I have seen that one person has done. If I go to view members and I find cabbage. He has done a problem every day, or has attempted to do a problem every day. So I know who this is. You might know who this is. Don't scream your name out, or don't scream his name out. So yeah, I really recommend that if you're investing in a club, that to really get better, the best thing you can do is practice. I can only teach you as much as I know, or like as much as I can in 1 year. But the reality is that the best thing you can do is practice. That's how you become really, really strong, and then you can solve harder and harder problems. Just knowing the concepts can only get you so far, but actually being able to apply them is a whole different story, especially on contests where you don't necessarily have that much time to think. You have to think about it and apply it and fix your errors as fast as possible in order to get the question. And so you want to maximize your score. That means you have to have that practice, have that momentum. And people who write math contests will know that too. All right, so any questions so far with DMOS or DOM Judge?
You probably should tell them how to join if they join the organization if they already signed up.
Yeah. Okay, if you've already signed up, you can go to edit profile. And here you can actually customize your profile. If I mentioned this, I have my own portfolio, whatever there. And then the affiliated organizations here, you would filter, and as you can see, I'm in Vincent Maciasos already. And you can join whatever one you want, really. Like there's a funny one called Foxen. You can join that, whatever you want to. But I'd say don't, just for the purpose of, because all these organizations are public, no one actually approves them. So please just join Massey one and then any of the fun ones that you want. So, but there are some private organizations, but that also costs money, so we're not going to do that. So yeah, that's how you use DMOS. Anything I missed from experienced people, or anything that you don't understand from people who haven't used DMOS?
We should clarify that, like it's a point-based system, but getting a certain number of points is like on a question does not necessarily equate to that's many points you're getting increased. It's this like math algorithm that determines how many points you get.
All right, and that's a very good thing to mention.
It's literally the first thing. It's like the second on the about.
That is message. Yeah. Yeah, so they have a wacky system that they've had since 2017. So basically, you're not necessarily if you solve five-point problems, you're not necessarily getting 5 times 5 is 25 points. It's gonna be a weighting system, which basically means if you keep doing 5-point questions or 3-point questions, they're eventually gonna be valued less and less, as you can see from this exponential function over here. You don't really need to understand what that means. But actually, this would be exponential one. They're both exponential. But that doesn't mean that you're going to stop getting points necessarily. But like if you do 3-point questions throughout, but instead it's going to be increasing at a very slow rate. So this encourages you to try harder problems and try to learn those concepts, because you're going to get more points out of those. Like the exponential function is going to be, even if there's an exponential function that's reducing the value of each of your questions, it's still going to have more points. Like if I do a 10-point question and I've solved 99 5-point questions, it's going to be worth more. I might get like 5 or 6 points from it, rather than putting another 5-point question, which would get me probably like 0.5 points, or not even close to that. Probably like 0.3 or 0.2. But yeah. So that's how the point system works. So you're not necessarily going to see immediate increases, and that's why the leaderboard isn't necessarily people having the points you can see here. They aren't necessarily in the thousands or tens of thousands, where as in like another online judge who doesn't have online systems, people who doesn't have rating systems like that, where they have that exponential function or whatever, they're going to have people with tens of thousands of points, or maybe even 100,000 points. So, but this really incites you to, or encourages you to try harder problems. So yeah, that's the basic idea of using DMOS. And you click a problem. Let's say click 2-dimensional minimum range query, and then this is not necessarily the best problem to use. Sure, I'll just click this one. So yeah. How it works is you have this problem title, and then you have the description, and then constraints is just going to be how big the numbers can get, and that determines, because with a time limit, obviously it's like saying, how fast can I multiply a 1-digit number by a 1-digit number? You can do it pretty fast. But if you're now saying 100-digit by 100-digit, it's obviously going to be a bit slower. So they give constraints so that your algorithms or your solutions optimized so that it runs under the time limit, while also being under memory. So there's simple inputs and outputs. And for anyone who's here for the first time, when you prompt for input, you should not say, for example, the Python equivalent would be x equals int input. You don't want to do like num. Like, this is not something that you should do. So that's the basic idea of DMOS. anyone has any questions about using DMOS, you can always message me, or they actually have a DMOS Slack, which is a social media system, social media platform. So yeah, if you could email them at contact@dmos.ca or join the Slack. I'd recommend joining the Slack and ask them for specific problems. Or if you have problems with using the thing itself, you are free to message people like me or Yang or Gordon, because we're admins/teachers. So yeah, that's the basic idea of using DMOS. And you can also add comments if you want to ask on there too, but you're probably going to find more useful tips on DMOS, on Slack. So that's the basic idea of using DMOS. So we are now going to learn some C++, or start with the basics. So can we see your shopping cart? Why do you want to see my shopping cart?
You should probably also tell them what the ACWART stuff means.
Okay, anyone not familiar with DMOS? Okay, I'll still mention it anyway. So AC on a problem, this also applies for the DOM judge. Means answer is correct, or you have the correct solution that runs under time limit, runs under memory limit. Actually, instead of giving all these instead of giving you a huge description, if you don't know, if you haven't submitted problems much, then you will benefit from reading this. These are the status codes for, like, if you submit a problem, for example, like how it comes out, like who can I view that's the correct solution? Sure, I'll view this guy. Oh, you can only view someone else's solution if you like mess up. Like, AC looks green. That means correct, or like you could interpret that for this one. So AC means correct. But what does WA mean? Wrong answer. But there are also different verdicts that you can have that are found in the status codes, such as time limit exceeded, or in short form, or it as not an abbreviation, or as an abbreviation TLE. Like, there's those kinds of stuff. Those different verdicts for how you messed up a problem, or how you did on a problem. Like, did you say, like, did you get wrong answer? Did you get right answer? Did you run out of memory limit? Whatever. So keep that in mind. I should probably do that. So yeah, I feel anything that I'm missing, or should I get started with C++? Okay, sounds like we're ready to do some C++. So just to clarify, if you're not familiar with Python, then I really recommend you get into the junior classroom, because Python's usually the basic programming language that you learn. Python, JavaScript, or whatever. But if you just have some exposure, and then some problem-solving skills will be necessary. But we can always go over those if you are really proficient in a language, but not exactly sure how to solve a problem. That was like one of the later things you do in junior. So yeah, we are going to start C++. So C++, what is it exactly? It's a programming language, as you could guess. It is the default language that most computer science contest problems are designed around. And this means that when contest problems are created, they're different languages, and C++ is the favored language because of its superior speed. Like, Python and Java are slow in comparison to C++, but it's not the absolute fastest language. However, it's still common because it's legible to people who like know one language. Like, let's say if you know Java, you could probably understand C++, like the general gist of it. It's legible, but it's also fast. So this throughout the course, or this preparing for CCC and these competitions, we're going to be using C++. So let's start with the basic program. Alright, so the first line is include bits/stdc++.h. So what does that mean? This means that so everything in C++ has to be, every function C++ has to be included unless it's in the standard library, which I'll talk about later. So every function must be imported or included. However, like if you want to include some math functions, it's called CMath, I believe. If you want to include certain algorithms, it's included in angle brackets algorithm. However, std_c++.h, just specifically this part, is it's what's called a header file, in which it will internally in the compiler and everything, it will automatically import pretty much every library you're going to ever need. So, and it's located in the bits folder in most compilers. So it's bits/stdc++.h. So that's what that first line is. And so I really recommend that instead of trying to include all the different things, you just include bits/stdc++.h because it's just going to be a lot faster. All right, so
No, bits.std++.h is not standard in C++. It's only a part of the G++ compiler, so.
yeah, use the G++ compiler.
And Clang.
No, it's not part of Clang. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not
part
Clang.
of Clang. You're correct. All right, so now the second line is using namespace std. So at first this is going to sound confusing, but why do we do this? So what does this even mean to start off? So this is the standard module or standard library. So normally functions that for example, if I use import Pygame, I don't remember enough Python, so this might be correct. If you just do it like this, then you'd have to do Pygame. Let's say if you want to display flip. If you haven't taken ICS3 but you know algorithms, then this isn't necessary to you. You would have to do Pygame.display.flip in order to refresh the display or flip the display. Like you'd have to put this Pygame before every time, which is pretty annoying. So instead, we would want to do something like from Pygame import start. Quick check, my earbuds are slightly down. Can you guys still hear me, or should I bring it up here?
It's muffled.
You're just a bit quiet, but I can still hear you.
Okay, so,
I mean, you were cutting out a bit on my voice, but on my.
Okay, so I'll just keep it at here. So from Pygame import start. If we do it like this, then we can just do then to flip the display, we just use display.flip. Similar thing. If we using namespace std, we don't like the typical thing. You know how there's Pygame dot, instead it's std : Then you have to use then you could use all the thing or whatever, all the different commands. So instead of doing std ... and then you think it's easier just using namespace std, so you can do all those standard library functions without having to write std not ... So we can just do cout instead. All right, and I'll explain what cout and cin mean in a moment. Now, so those are the first two lines of your code. The next line, or next block, I should say, is int main. So this means that like in any given C++ file, the main function serves as like the entry point to your program upon direct execution, unless there's specific problems that prepend the data of int main. But you're very rarely going to run into those unless you do like IOI problems or something like that. So int main is like if there's no main function inside a C++ program, if it's compiling it normally, it won't do anything. Like your program won't run at all because there's nothing to call it. This is similar to having public static void main in Java. So and the equivalent of that is int main. So that's what int main means. So always have this in your program. Everything I have up to this point, you always want to have in your program. Now let's do some input and output. Alright, to people who don't know much C++, this is going to look really crazy to you, but it's not that hard to understand what it means once you actually get it. So cout means like console out, like you're printing to your console. So cout And then these chevrons, or left angle brackets, if you want to call it that, or French quotes, whatever you call it, that's whatever, like your choice. It indicates that we're piping the string, or piping the data in this case the string, and we're piping a string called hello world into into our sorry about that. We're piping the string into this stream. The stream is not really that important to talk about, but it basically will import, we'll put that into the console. And unlike Python, just putting C out hello world, if I just did this and ignored everything on the right, everything that's green, just ignore it for now. If I just did this, it's not going to put a new line after, like how Python print works. But instead, it's just going to be hello world, and then whatever you're going to do next is going to be on the same line. So instead of doing that, we are going to use endl, or \n, which I'll talk about. Hello world, and then two chevrons or two angle brackets, whatever. And then that means you're piping something else into the stream. And this is endl. So it's, in short, just a way to bring it, go to the next line, or like print a new line. And the equivalent to that, or instead of just using endline or endl, you can do hello world. And what can I do here? Someone give me the answer. What can I do to bring it to a new line inside of this string? This is the same in any other languages.
/n.
Yes, \n. This means bring it to the next line, or like a new line character. Typically with lots of input-output things, \n will be a lot faster than endl, but it's not going to impact that much unless you're doing heavily, like very difficult questions. So that's how you do output. Now, since cout was obviously the output, someone new, tell me, what do you think is for input?
cin.
Correct. It'd be cin. So, or sin or whatever, so cin. That's how you do your basic input commands. And this time, instead of having these left chevrons that I have over here, I'm going to have right chevrons. Or, no, right angle bracket. So this means put into our stream. Like this. This means put into your stream, while the left angle bracket is put out on the stream. So you're taking from the stream something. So cin something. Actually, before that, we have to declare a variable first. Let's just do a simple one, int x. That means you have an integer variable x. So let's say cin x. So this is the basic idea of how to input x. And if I have two variables, int x and y, and I want to enter them, then I just do x, and these spaces are not necessary, but I just do it for good coding style. Cin x, two angle brackets x, two angle brackets y. So that means that it's going to take in x and y as soon as they, like when they input it. And big thing about cin is that it will ignore white spaces. So for example, if I ran this program, hopefully I didn't make a typo. I can input 5. Oh shoot, I forgot to put an end line. See, usually in Python, when you put an enter or whatever, like I'm pressing enter right now, it would have crashed, like because it'd say, Python does not. It's called white space ignoration. Like this, C++ ignores white space when you're working with cin. So I can do 5, and I can do 3, and it successfully ran the program. I didn't actually do anything with x and y. But I can also put them with spaces, as you'll see in a moment. Once again, 5 space 3. So it runs perfectly fine. So a big thing to take away is that cin will ignore white spaces. So if you have a problem here, if you have a string with words, let's say I want a string to be inputted like Bob is crazy. I don't know. I just came up with the top of my head. If I try to input the whole string on one line, how can I can't do that with cin because it's just going to stop at Bob. So instead, there's a function called GetLine. So if I call a string variable I want to input as string s, I would have to I can't use cin s because like if I want s to be Bob is crazy, I can't just do cin s if this because it's just going to read Bob. But if we know that it's going to be the whole line, like you're not going to enter anything after that line, there's a function called getLine. And then don't worry about that. Now you put your input stream and then what you want your string to be. So getLine cins will allow you to get your entire line. So that's how you use cin and cout and how to do input output in general. And while I'm here, I should mention that I think most of you would remember in Python, if you want fast input, you do import sys and input equals sys.stdin.readline. Similarly, there's an equivalent to that in C++, but it's a bit better. Sin.sync with stdio. And the boolean here is false, but we can put 0 here. I'll explain booleans all in a moment. Sin.sync with stdio 0, and then sin.time 0. So it's not really important to understand how it works. Just know that this is really useful for fast input. And I remember specifically doing a problem with Python when I asked for fast input that it was messing up with strings because I was using import sys, and as soon as I moved that, it worked again. But with cin and cout, with fast optimizations for cin and cout, it's not going to impact those string ignorations or whatever. It's going to be normal, and the only difference is when you try to interact with your program, instead of spitting out the numbers as you output it, like if I said cout hello world, and then I said cout Bob \n. If I ran this, what would happen instead is I'd have to do all my inputs before I do all my outputs. So 5, 3, and because I entered a new line, therefore this getLine cins didn't work. But that's just an exception because what happened is I put 5 and 3, and then so it read x and y, and I didn't put anything in the new line except enter, so I just read the remaining part of that line, which is just which is nothing because it just stripped, took away the enter character that I put in. So that means s was left with nothing. So that's what happened there. But you would see that, hey, what happened? This 5 and 3 was prompted after I printed out hello world and Bob. So how this, what's going to happen here is when you put this, it's going to take all your input before it releases any output. It's going to do all your output at once, unless your program crashes. So that's the basic idea with cin and cout. I'm going to comment this out. So then, I should mention this. Java users will already have known or felt the quote-unquote pain. Everything in C++ has to have a comma at the end to detect, hey, go to the next line. And that and as a result of that, indentation really does not matter. I could put this all the way out here, and it would run perfectly fine. So
that's a semicolon.
Huh? Did I
That's
say
a
something
semicolon.
else?
Said comma.
Yeah, you said comma.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. My English is not great. I'm just joking. I'm just making excuses. All right. So yeah, this is a semicolon. And what I did here to make this green, or aka a multi-line comment, is I put /* and then I ended with */. That's pretty common in many languages. It's equivalent to Python, how you put the 3 of these to start your multi-line comment, and then you would end off with 3 of these again. But that doesn't work in C++. Instead, we use these. And while I'm there, single line comments, instead of the hashtag or the pound key, whatever you call it, it's 2 slashes, 2 forward slashes. All right, now we're gonna get to types. So anyone have any questions with? Before I get to types, actually no, I'll just keep mentioning when I go to functions later on. And just to let you know that pace heavily increases after I teach you guys the basics of C++. So you can expect that next week or the week after, the pace is gonna really increase.